Well, I came across this, and what we're going to look at next, I just had to watch it with you guys, but it's going to be slightly painful. Marjorie Greene did an interview with Donald Trump Jr. Can you imagine? And an interesting set, I will note, but we're going to walk through a few of these moments from this interview. It's from Don Jr.'s new show, Triggered. So brave. It's going to trigger those lefty snowflakes. So first, Marjorie Greene addresses the issue of drug cartels.
There's so many things that we can stop. Another thing we need to stop is funding the war in Ukraine. Don, I can't understand why we're fighting a war in Ukraine.
I can't.
And we're not bombing the Mexican cartels who are poisoning Americans every single day. And I know that sounds extreme. I'm not talking about the Mexican government or the Mexican people. I'm talking about the cartels. They're murdering Americans.
They're doing it in America these days. I mean, when I interviewed Kevin on this podcast, he was talking about, like, they came across the border and shot a baby in the face that was, the child of one of these things up in California. And it's like, wait, the cartels are committing crimes on American soil, and we're just sitting back and like, oh, it's not really a problem. Like, let's pretend it doesn't exist.
So Marjorie Greene's solution is to bomb the drug cartels. And what really upsets me about these discussions is, as long as we're listening to Marjorie Greene, Don Jr. dishonestly and unseriously fearmonger about different subjects such as the border, such as cartels, we're not actually addressing those issues. I agree that drug cartels are a problem. I agree that our southern border has some serious challenges, the management, the logistical problems, the humanitarian problems, the drugs that are coming across, all of that. But the solution, number one, is not to then use all of that, leverage all of that to fearmonger about human beings who are coming looking for a better life in the form of fearmongering about immigration, as they often do. And whenever it comes time to actually talk about solutions, whenever Democrats have put forward comprehensive immigration reform, sometimes even some Republicans are on board, but it's been Republicans who stand against that. And they're not actually looking for real solutions on all these different issues, because the benefit they get out of all of it is it being a problem. And I'm not saying that if they could snap their fingers, they wouldn't magically make all the problems go away. I'm sure they would. But in the short term, each moment they make decisions that then lead to a situation where this problem remains, whether it be fentanyl, whether it be the broader issue of drug cartels and that effect on people's lives, whether it be the broken nature of our immigration system. But they choose to prioritize so often the fear-mongering about humans looking for a better life and making them out to be something other than that, instead of actually addressing those problems. And one of the things Marjorie Greene has been confronted on in the past is she talks about the fentanyl crisis in a way that would lead one to believe, and much of the Republican Party does this, that the issue that we're having right now has to do with undocumented immigration, and that is causing the fentanyl crisis. When in reality, while I've said many times, I don't think we should have undocumented immigration, because I think our legal immigration process should be expanded, enhanced in a way where undocumented immigration would not be occurring and wouldn't be necessary. But if we're just talking about the facts, then you have to recognize the vast, vast, vast majority of fentanyl is coming through legal ports of entry, and legal U.S. citizens are the ones facilitating this. And so if you're trying to tell your followers and the audience, and your talking point is that it's undocumented immigration that's causing fentanyl to get into our country, you're actively working against saving the lives that are being harmed by fentanyl, because you're not actually giving an honest telling of that problem. You're prioritizing, I once again say, the fear-mongering over the solution. Next moment just is a thing of nightmares, I must say. Take a look.
I organized a march in Washington, D.C. on Facebook, saying, let's go show Washington we want the wall.
Oh, they wish they canceled you like so much earlier than they did. They don't want to create another MTG, but we need like 1,000 of you.
I organized.
He says, we need 1,000 MTGs. I definitely will be having that make an appearance in my nightmares tonight. 1,000 MTGs, an army of Marjorie Taylor Greenes. And then final clip here talking about how she just could not, whenever January 6th took place, get her head around the fact that it was Trump supporters.
January 6th happened. It shocked me. I had no idea. I just couldn't imagine. As a matter of fact, I was arguing with Kat Kamek, who one of my colleagues, and we were fighting. And I said, "Those aren't our people." I just couldn't believe it. I was like, "Those aren't our people. That's the Antifa. Those are the same rioters that we see in 2020." I could not believe it. And she was like, "They are our people." I said, "No, they're not." And she's like, "They have on red hats." And I said, "I don't care." So we're having this whole argument, but I was blown away by it. And then, goodness, next thing you know, we're all to blame. The media is blaming you.
Of course.
You weren't even there. They're blaming President Trump. They're blaming me. They're blaming all of us. Any Republican that objected, it's all our fault, and we didn't even know it was going to happen. January 6th happened.
So when you think about January 6th, the real victims were the people perpetuating the lies that led to January 6th, according to Marjorie Greene. And I guess she's saying she's changed her view and doesn't still think now it was Antifa, even though very recently she's been seeming to allude to that. There she seems to be saying, I thought it was, but it wasn't, or who knows. But on the subject of, oh my gosh, and then they blamed us for it, can you imagine? It is really so deeply dishonest to, in the build up to an event like that, tell people your country is being stolen from you. This whole conspiracy took place that caused this election to be stolen, which would be huge, would be terrible. And you are not going to have a country. These are types of phrases we heard so much in the build up to January 6th. You're not going to have a country anymore if Trump gets taken out of office, as he should have been, and he was. And then you go, I had no idea people were going to take that to mean they didn't do something violent. What? No. And then afterwards, you continue to perpetuate those lies and still want to have us believe that you're the victim in the situation because you got blamed for an event like this. Of course, on an individual basis, it's each person who committed a crime and their violations that is to blame. But in a zoomed out conversation, of course, Trump, Marjorie Greene, Lauren Boebert, whoever you want to say, those who were lying about the election and telling their followers, you have to fight, you have to take action to prevent this, to then turn around and act like that didn't cause this is so incredibly dishonest. But there it is, Donald Trump Jr. and Marjorie Greene having a little chat. Let me know what you think. Luke P. Beasley on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.